It's unfortunate, but a fact of life is neurotypicals make these slice judgments about autistic people, and that leads them to not like us. A lot of them. Not everyone, but a lot of them. And, well, they don't even realize they're doing it. So, I want to talk about this in my own personal experience a little bit. Not giving a lot of antidotes, just in the abstract, kind of qualitatively describe how I felt in, these sorts of situations and my sort of take on it, because you could feel like you're going crazy when you feel like everyone's mistreating you. Moreover, when you point out to a group of people who gets treated the worst, everyone's hand goes up. Everyone thinks they're treated the worst because they see where they're not treated fairly, and that's what sticks out to us, where we're not treated fairly. Probably not for everyone, but in a general sense, that's how most people kind of function. Well, somebody has to be treated the worst, and I don't know if it's me or not. I just know that there's many situations where it just wasn't fair the way things were being handled, how things played out, the other people's interpretations of things. And, well, I'm here to say that autistic people a lot of times are so patient with what we have to put up with. I no longer just doubt what I am seeing because it's clear as day in my mind. Certain things that I get accused for aren't things I do. They're misinterpretations on the part of the other party, and they have an overconfidence in their ability to read somebody else's vibe. It's very good at other neurotypicals because they can project themselves on that neurotypical, but when they try it with an autistic person, it doesn't work. And a lot of times, these sort of neural pathways are automatic. This is, in my mind, very similar to the riddle, where you ask somebody, you have a ball and a bat that costs $1.10 altogether, and the bat is $1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost? Most people will answer it in an instant, 10 cents, incorrectly. But where the hell did that answer come from? Why is it that so many people just hear the words, don't think about it, and somehow feel like they know the answer? I don't know. Like, when I hear that, I set up an algebraic equation in my head and solve it, so I'm not going to mess up. But most people revert to their system one thought process, and I say thought process because a lot of it is subconscious. And a smaller minority of people go to the system two thought process. So I think autistic people in general are probably more inclined to do that. Honestly, maybe I'm just biased there. I know I am. I'm spending my time studying computer science, math, physics, things that are hard to understand. You've got to be very active and not let the system one take over and incorrectly tell you that the ball's 10 cents when it's 5 cents. This is literally what happens to autistic people all the time. Neurotypicals see a situation and it pops in their head the explanation for it. And it's just the answer. They don't think, where does it come from? Is this consistent with anything? Is this fair? No. It's just a system one thought process, and it's just evolution. Evolution kind of shaped us to conserve energy where we needed to conserve it. Thinking is hard, and so we want to think as little as possible. And so that's what these system one thought processes do. And they're good in a lot of things. If you study computer science all the time, you're going to recognize certain features of computer science instantaneously because the system one has been trained to recognize things in computer science, and so on and so forth for many things. There's studies on chess grandmasters in their ability to recognize a board and where the pieces were. They only can reliably recognize all the pieces on the board when it's in a playable state. They're just as good as everyone else when they just get fed a random set of pieces that you would never be able to achieve in a real game. The configuration is false. It's not part of their recognition in their system one thought process, and so they have to revert to their system two thought process, which can only hold up to like 4 to 7 facts, threads of information at once. So, point being, we are programmed to do the system one thought process without realizing it, and a lot of us never do. And in turn, the autistic traits that a lot of neurotypicals see that lead them to do these thin slice judgments on us are not based in reality. They just aren't. The only thing in reality is it happens. But you'll get inconsistencies everywhere, and that's the frustrating part for autistic people. I got told I couldn't put laptops in a car because the car can get broken into and he didn't want his windshield being broken. But then when I walked by a bunch of tents with crackheads in it and asked him to pick me up, oh, it's not ghetto anywhere. So it's ghetto to you when my laptops can't be put in the car for no reason. Like, I could put my laptops under the seat. It would make no difference, but the System 1 thought process took over. They didn't want me putting my laptops in the car. Why? I don't think they even thought about it. It just popped in their head. And then they can't even stay consistent. And so, as an autistic person, you're looking at the situation like, this makes no sense, this makes no sense, this makes no sense, but I'll move my boundaries around for you until I can't. Until I can't anymore. And, well, the thing is they would do the exact same thing. In fact, they might just freak out on the first iteration of the unfair treatment. This isn't fair! This doesn't make sense! It's like, welcome to our world, where people bark things at you that don't make any fucking sense, and they disregard your perspective because it's different. They act like, you just don't get it. See, you're not like us, and we understand how this works. It's like, alright, so you can collectively believe something stupid, because somehow there is a collective consciousness here. It's like, nobody's saying 15 cents with the ball. Everyone's saying 10 cents, somehow. Everyone. And it's like, how much free will is there? I start thinking this way when I see people acting this, like a fool like this. It's like, how many of our decisions are even left up to the rational mind? It seems like we just are fed things by the subconscious, and most of us don't even recognize it. That's just really how it seems from my vantage point, and it gets a little discouraging to deal with because the subconscious and the human brain is very similar in a lot of ways. I know everyone's an individual, but when you look at neurotypical brains, there are regions that, I mean, that's why we're neurodivergent, not just having more synapses per neuron, synaptic pruning. There's also a sort of structural difference. Point being is there's neural pathways that are set up that lead people to think in similar sorts of ways, and oftentimes these are subconscious thought processes, so doesn't matter where you go. Doesn't matter. You can move to another country and you might still deal with this sort of thing because, well, they're just still people. So, all I can say is the silver lining is, you're not crazy. People don't treat you fairly, probably, if you're autistic, and the reason for it is for decisions that they haven't made, necessarily. I would say they just are blind to what they're doing, and that could be a way to help, or make you feel a little bit cynical and nihilistic about going out and socializing with people. I don't know what to do about it, because the problem is you can tell people you're autistic, and all that does is the same thing in a way. They'll just run with their misconceptions. They're not going to think, do I know what this diagnosis means? No, I got some vague understanding of what it is, and I'm just going to roll with it. We don't really rationalize that way, but I'm just trying to personify the subconscious in some way. So, in the end, yeah, I think we do have to put up with a lot of shit that doesn't make a lot of sense, and a lot of times autistic people have a strong sense of justice, and so it's like, this isn't just, I'm gonna freak the fuck out now. Or, eventually. I have felt guilty about getting mad at people before when they continuously do this to me, as if I'm in the wrong, and the only thing I did wrong is let them do it over and over. And that's all you can really do, is not put yourself around certain people if you have that luxury of being able to cut them out. So, that's basically it. See ya.